pain, both physical and emotional, is never a good time. Unless you're a masochist, or one of those crazy acts on America's Got Talent. Despite pain being more unpopular than Dr. Disrespect at the moment, pain is too tone-deaf to take the hint, so it will happily welcome itself into your temple at any point. We're not going to be talking about pains you could experience at a temple today, however, such as a Jackie Chan-style beating or some form of ancient ninja jujitsu. We're talking about the worst pains that I've endured, at least off the top of my head. It seems like I'm a magnet for injuries or ailments. What better way to start than with the most hardcore discomfort I've ever felt, having a catheter. People always do say I'm an old soul. This just solidifies it. If this is why boomers are more bitter than if Feastables was concocted in a ghost kitchen, I totally understand it now. Having a tube shoved up anywhere is not pleasant, even for the most kinky of individuals. And I only had to have it up there for a few minutes, although it certainly felt about as long as an anime filler episode. Imagine having to constantly wear it, looking over you like an iPad kid on the plane. That could explain boomers' disdain for young people as well. Why did I have to get this catheter, you're probably asking? Well, it all started because of a fellow annoying pain, blue balls. One day, while searching the web looking for the perfect video, not on the soon-to-be-banned Hub, but on one of the more obscure websites, I was too preoccupied with dodging post-nut clarity to focus on my hidden blue enemy. Being a young noob, I had no knowledge on what the feeling was or how to deal with it, so it left me unable to take a fat piss. Truly wild thoughts entered my mind. What was causing this hellish burning? An ancient mutation of gonorrhea implanted by the devil himself? Ironically, you can say I experienced post-nut clarity anyway, with the amount of regret I felt as I entered the hospital and was instructed to drink what was essentially an entire ocean's worth of water so I could provide a urine sample. This annoys me to this day. I'm visiting you because I can't piss, but I have to prove it. This isn't a murder case. You shouldn't require rock-hard evidence. It's equivalent to having to run a mile with a broken leg before they give you a cast. I obviously couldn't leak and was now feeling worse than before, like my bladder was going to explode any second. You could make one of those films where you have to deactivate the bomb out of my situation. In this case, a bomb was used to defuse a bomb, though, as the only thing that could exterminate the incoming explosion was none other than the catheter. I was initially naive to what I was about to endure. As I mentioned, old people got them all the time, and at least weren't screaming in agony, so I figured it would be the same for me. There was also the fact that the nurse walked up happy as a kid on Christmas Day. She is most definitely either a masochist or just blissfully ignorant. Likely the latter, to be fair. How could she know? I believe it's only men who can go through the max pain, no, not that one, of a catheter. I know that's just asking for the feminist mob to try and destroy the catheter's top spot on my list, but it's true. Like how women have to endure childbirth, men have to withstand a tube going up a pea-sized hole, feeling like it's killing their kids, the sperm, like that Mortal Kombat fatality. It genuinely feels like the personification of death, and that's while being numbed, at least allegedly. That's right. I'm proposing that the cheerful nurse didn't numb me properly, and not only that, but it may have been purposeful. Why do I think this? You're probably questioning yourself, dear viewer. Well, she could be a part of the feminist mob, hell-bent on inflicting the catheter's pain onto men, knowing it's the only way a radical feminist can actually make a lasting emotional impact, which this incident assuredly did. It didn't just stop at physical displeasure, no. The catheter seared its tube deep into my psyche as well, leaving a parting gift of PTSD symptoms. I'm not at all claiming I have PTSD, okay? We can leave the self-diagnosing to all the emos on TikTok. However, I must have some sort of trauma. I mean, The mere mention of the word catheter sends a bone-chilling cold down my spine. That's not even an exaggeration. If I think of it for even a split second, the memories rush back, and it's like I'm vividly reliving the event. Even typing this script, I have to get up from sitting and move around, attempting to dash away from my mind. Coincidentally, sitting too much is the root cause of my most recent pain, being pressure sores on both my knees and heels. The one on my knee specifically was actually caused by a form of rug burn I received when playing Persona 3 Reload for too long in one session. Grinding out 70 parts worth of highlights, all for next to 0 views. Thanks, YouTube algorithm. I was idle on the mat for so long that my knees would practically get waxed when I got up, and are now as purple as Thanos' ass, and have been for months. The wound on my heel was from being too locked in on my current task to get up. I guess being on that Sigma grind set isn't entirely beneficial after all, like those alpha male boot camps told me. I've injured my heel several times in the past due to my cerebral palsy causing them to be extra sensitive. Such times include when my dad accidentally dropped me 2 feet when lifting me up the stairs, caused what I can only assume is the feeling of a broken foot, as, ironically, despite the unique pains I have resisted, a broken bone isn't included in the collection. I wonder what one would actually feel like, though, if a simple bruise was enough to make me wail like a spoiled child. I should probably just shut the fuck up, though. I don't need Lady Luck on my ass even more. All jokes aside, these wounds actually have progressed into a pretty major hindrance, which is the true pain, as opposed to a physical one. It's not just a minor inconvenience, like when I was stung twice by cartoonishly evil wasps, who were clearly interested in trolling. Ooh, I smell a tangent coming. To briefly elaborate on these, the worst thing about them were the locations of the stings, being the eye, the wasp having gotten tangled in my glasses, and the lip, respectively. It couldn't have been the arm or leg, no, that would have been too convenient. The wasp must have been targeting my senses. I guess I should expect the next sting on either my hand, ear, or nose. Maybe I'll swallow a wasp instead of a spider. Where the fuck does that myth even come from anyway? Why would I inhale 8 spiders before 8 flies? We're not in Australia. Anyways, both of these stings were during prime summer season, with my family and I camping at the lake during the lip one. I had just caught my first fish of the year, absolutely ecstatic, but thanks to that trolling bitch wanting a kiss on the lips, my happiness was sucked out of me. To add insult to a literal injury, this was the final fish I've caught since. This leads me to my totally justified theory of the true mastermind behind the wasps, PETA. They must have felt the need to punish me for displacing the fish from its habitat. Fair enough, I guess they should punish every little kid on Earth who keeps their fish in a bowl. That's not their natural home either. To get back on track from this little side dish, while those stings hurt like a bitch, at least they didn't snowball into 4 entirely separate problems, not 3, like my pressure wounds. It's like in RPGs where you're given numerous dialogue choices, but they all lead to the same predetermined response. The first of the Forbidden 4 was that I was now even more immobilized than I already am. My friends always simply refer to me as a cripple since it's easier than saying cerebral palsy each time, but I genuinely felt crippled at this point. Whenever I tried to get the slightest bit of movement, my knee would scream in anger, but whenever I sat, my heel would shout louder. It was a vicious cycle, a terrible rock concert in my head. Its only potential remedy was antibiotics, which leads straight into problem 2, diarrhea. At first, everything was normal when I was taking the baby bitch pills, but they were slacking off, so I had to switch to the big chungus bastards. They thankfully blessed me with a super potion, but not without constant shit attacks. I would normally welcome those with open arms, as I have always struggled with constipation. That's a tangent too big even for me. But not during finals week. That's problem 3 for you. I had to complete the most feared test of the year while simply fearing for the cleanliness of my favorite pants. Okay, to be honest, I hate fashion. My pants could be permanently destroyed in a shredder for all I care. I was more so fearing the inevitable humiliation I could receive from my classmates, especially after they were already as agitated as a disturbed animal after doing a final exam. Thankfully, Lady Luck took pity on me for once, as I was allowed by my science teacher to write my science final in another room. He was my least favorite teacher, and I still think teaching methods are immensely boring, but perhaps I treated him too harshly. Thanks, bro. I guess you are getting a Tim Hortons gift card as a year-end present after all. Still nothing beyond that, though. It's not because I'm lazy, I swear. I just don't want to break this sacred tradition of getting teachers gift cards. The sole time I believe that tradition should be forgone is exclusively for your most preferred teachers, ones that truly give a shit beyond their own piss-poor salary about helping you secure your future in today's shitty economy. Give them money instead. It's just a gift card in its superior form, with no limitations. That's why I'll never understand why a gift card is often mistaken as the more respectful option. Would you rather I give you $100 of cold hard cash that you could spend on whatever five-star steakhouse restaurant you desired, or $100 gift card for my odd neighbor's market where they sell you a dead cow carcass? Anyways, I was naively beginning to let my guard down from the dangers of Lady Luck and my wounds, as the diarrhea thankfully killed itself by the time my math final arrived on the last day of classes. I guess it was scared by trigonometry, slopes, and factoring as well. There's a new diarrhea cure, doctors. I'd like my $1,000,000 payment, please. Anyways, with the attacks having ceased, I treated the day as normal when I was struck with problem 4, knife pains in my stomach. Yeah, that's right. I've been stabbed before. That's so edgy and cool, right? No, that's dead fucking wrong. For one, I've been victim to these stabbings nearly 1,000,000 times. Just like in a generic action movie, the stabbing gets old quick, though it never permanently disappears. I was able to deflect them for a long time, though, due to not eating a breakfast more fruity than Bert and Ernie. Unfortunately, my deflection only gave them time to hone their skills and come back stronger than ever, now even rivaling the catheter. Not wanting to waste a single moment more, they forced me to keel over as soon as I sat on the bus. After the hour-long trek, which felt more dragged out than your average family road trip, I immediately had to lie down on the school's bed, usually utilized for stretching. We didn't have nap time or anything. Lying down usually caused the pain scale to tilt downwards, but not this time. For some reason, the pain just kept increasing to the point where I had to be picked up and driven to the hospital, greener than Mike Wazowski. Surprisingly, the wait wasn't even a few minutes, and I was admitted. This gave me hope that I could get the help I needed and still have time to write my math final, as I completed some blood work as well as an ultrasound, where I had an additional scare when they asked me to provide a urine sample. Great. The only possible thing that could worsen this situation, the re-emergence of my greatest adversary. Much to my relief, the urine sample was optional this time, though, so the bastard remained locked away. Much like a comic relief character in any show, though, good things can't happen to me in rapid succession, since now I had to wait for the results, which took a whopping 3 hours collectively. I guess extreme wait times are a requirement in the hospital after all. This snail-like wait time caused me to run out of time to write my final. This led my math teacher to offer to completely waive it from my overall average, only evaluating all of my previous work, taking pity on me when Lady Luck decided not to, since he had witnessed the copious amount of studying I did. I channeled my inner Sheldon Cooper, burning through the reviews he gave me, and even asking for extra practice. This was why, however, I declined his offer. This may cause you to think that something bad had malfunctioned in my brain as well at this point, which honestly wouldn't shock me. As far as I know, I was sane though. I just have an ego bigger than Walter White's, so I wanted to prove that I could do the test and not let my countless hours of studying be in vain. As if I was on Pawn Stars, I proceeded to make a ballsy counteroffer, requesting if I could come in and write it the next day, as teachers would still be in the building until noon to get their classrooms prepped for next year. If any teacher deserved money instead of a gift card, it was him, as he accepted the deal, admiring my pride. Ricker Chumley wouldn't have, I can tell you that. I waltzed into his classroom at 8 a.m. sharp and got straight to work. He was graceful enough to let me do this. I didn't want to force him to tolerate the same snail-like delays that I did. Despite my best intentions, though, I wrote past noon anyway. My teacher, seemingly an angel in disguise, was nice enough to stay after the allotted time, allowing me to finish. Now the moment of truth. Had my ego taken me to the same fate as Walter White? I checked my mark the next day. 94%. Let's fucking go! I had done it. To be fair, the wounds aren't over yet though, and for all I know, the mark will get lost on its way to my transcript. It's not like Lady Luck to leave off on a positive note. That's one thing I've learned through these pain experiences. She'll always come back.